Part two of this tune-up video. So I talked about earlier all the pieces that I was replacing, all the tune-up parts here. So now let's talk about what happened. A week ago, the mower started to act up. As it started to run for like about 15 minutes, when it gets warm, the engine will stall. And you can't restart it until the engine cools off again. And basically this mower was purchased 2007. It's been running for 14 years with very little maintenance, no maintenance whatsoever. And maybe I changed the oil um, 3 times so far, replaced the oil filter, and I replaced the starter, replaced the battery. That's about it. So this mower has been good. It's been running for 400 some hours so far. Uh, Time on it, right? It's been 14 years, no problem until now. And because of lack of maintenance over the years, everything starts to add up. The fuel, the oil, the thermal insulation with the grass clippings, the bad air filter, the carburetor dirty, the fuel line dirty, the PTO, the whole mowing deck was dirty. So let's go through one by one. Basically, it's good to just clean it up every 2 years. If you cannot do it once a year, I should do it once a year, maybe once every other year if I did a major cleanup. So first things first, when the unit start to act, when the mower start to act up, obviously the first thing is to put in some oil to fill it up to the top. Didn't work, still having problem. So replace the oil filter, replace the fill filter, replace the fuel pump here, replace the air filter, and it was still not working properly. So then I did not replace the spark plug. I was waiting for the ignition coil to see if that needs to be replaced before I replace the spark plugs. And maybe that's the whole problem at this point. The spark plug was bad. So, but then when the cover was opened up, this whole area was clogged up with grass clippings accumulated over the years. It was blocking the air, the engine fins to allow air to cool the engine. So both sides use the air compressor, air gun to blow out all the grass clippings, and then allow this to clean it out. The other thing is, I also removed the carburetor, right? Use the starter fluid and carburetor fluid to blow everything out, all the dirt and everything inside. Make sure it's clean. It's still pretty good inside. Make sure that the fuel solenoid is working properly. So that's the fuel solenoid there. Definitely there was some mice chewing up the wires. It was yeah, I had to tape it up here. One of them I can show here is still showing the bare wire being chewed up. Even the ignition coil is a little bit chewed up like this. You see. Okay. So that was done, and still won't start. So later I watched some YouTube videos saying that exact same problems, that if the mower stalls while it's hot, chances are it's the coil. So I bought the aftermarket coils from Amazon, and along with it I replaced the spark plug at the same time. Now maybe I should have just replaced one thing at a time to see what the problem is. I should have replaced the spark plugs first and see if the problem goes away. So I replaced both of them, and actually after I did that, it made it worse. The engine was not getting enough power. When I throw the PTO, first of all, it was hard to start. It doesn't start every single time. That's why I had to get the starter fluid and I thought it was a carburetor. So it didn't start every single time, and then even though when it's running smooth, I could drive around, but the moment I put the PTO on and start cutting grass, the engine will knock very bad. Basically, it doesn't have enough power. The cylinders were shutting, going in and out, and it was knocking bad. right? And I checked the overhead cam here, open it up, all the push rods were good, the specs on the rocker, they were good on both sides, everything was good. Be careful when you open it, the oil drains out. And then so did a whole bunch of other stuff and still didn't work. Charge up the battery, make sure the battery is fully charged. Then I open up, as I said before, I clean out the carburetor and it's still running very rough. So I even took out a deck. So completely remove the deck. The deck has a pin on each side. Just pull out that pin and then the deck will drop. You have to take the belt off from here. I even checked the PTO clutch. The PTO clutch was working fine. So without the blades running, the PTO engaged nicely and it disengaged and it spins no problem. There's no problem with the bearings on the PTO clutch. That's the PTO clutch. And that's the PTO clutch connector, the wire. Clean this out, everything's all cleaned up. So the other thing is that the mower deck was all clogged up with brass clippings, inside, outside, above, below. So it was completely a mess. Took it out, use a hose, rinse out everything. Now it's all clean, it's all good. Check the blades, the blades bearing, everything is still pretty decent. Nothing to complain about with the blades. And put everything back. So really that's did a whole tune-up job on this and clean up. And at the end, because of everything, now the mower should run a lot better. Really, I believe it's one of the spark plugs that was bad. Okay, and a lot of times is that when the engine heats up and the spark plug when it's going bad, the thermal characteristics will make the spark not firing. So and it would basically not get the engine to ignite. And it's intermittent too. So after I change the spark plug and then put the original coil back on, now the engine runs better. I can mow for 30 minutes, no problem. So I'm gonna run a little bit longer and see what happens. So there you go. A few things to change the oil. Basically pull the cap out and then the black oil feeder tube, use a plier and pull the tube out so that the oil will drain out. And then to close it, just push the tube back in and then close the yellow cap. Simple. Okay. Fill the oil from the top here. Fill it slowly, add about 6 ounces at a time and do the dipstick check to make sure it doesn't overflow. Add a little at a time. Okay.